Welcome back to the ABC Music Talk podcast, the show for anyone interested in the music industry. This episode sits in the current affairs category, as it's all about the Italian music conference Linecheck. Not one I was familiar with, but after speaking to my guest, I realised how different this event is, to the extent that I think it could be used as a blueprint to vastly improve so many of the other conferences I've attended over the last 20 years or so. But first, time for me to remind you all to go road to your videos. Rota is for artists, managers, labels, or anyone in the music industry who needs to create video content for promotion or monetization. Rota makes it fast, easy, and inexpensive to do all of that in one place. Head to www.abcmusic.co and click the Rota logo on the homepage to access a 10% off discount for the service. Welcome to the show, Project Manager for the Music Innovation Hub that puts together Linecheck, Anna Zo.
Nice to meet you, everyone, and thanks for the super cool introduction, Alex.
That's quite all right. I try and sort of set the scene for what these interviews are in the first bit. I think genuinely, I was surprised, that when the fantastic folks over at Cartel got in contact to talk to me about, getting you on the show. Obviously I've been to lots of conferences over the years, and so I wasn't quite sure, what we would do to make this really super interesting for people other than just to sort of say it was happening. But seriously, the conversation that we had, which we'll obviously kind of redo partly in this interview, was a real eye-opener. And funnily enough, actually, I've spoken to somebody who went to a previous event before and
nice.
Was raving about it and said how great the event was. So it's amazing how until these things sort of come into your orbit, you don't really necessarily tune into them. So before we start, can you tell my listeners a little bit about yourself and how did you get to be doing this?
Yeah, of course. So basically, Linecheck is managed by a larger company that's called Music Innovation Hub, and that's a company that's pretty young, actually. So the story is Music Innovation Hub was funded in 2018, and then they acquired the brand of Linecheck that was already existing from another company, and so it's been 4 years now that Linecheck is under Music Innovation Hub, but before it was happening already with another management, and for 3 years. So this is going to be the 7th edition of Linecheck. And basically, what happened is I am a project manager at Music Innovation Hub. So I started working there at the very beginning, so in 2018. So at the very beginning of the company when it was just on the process of figuring out what it was like, and as I was part of the Music Innovation Hub team since the very beginning, of course, Linecheck was one of the biggest projects since the very beginning because it was an already existing brand and an already existing event. So I started working with the conference part of the Linecheck program since 2018 now. So that's a little bit of my story with Music Innovation Hub and Linecheck. So all over the year, I work for Music Innovation Hub as a project manager, and I'm especially in charge of all what relates to the European projects, because we work a lot with the European Commission, and also all what relates to the music tech and innovation kind of sector, which is something the Music Innovation Hub focuses on a lot. And then everything that we do all year long with Music Innovation Hub, it kind of land in Linecheck in November, because and that's a very nice thing that we have, that we are not just an event that pops up once in a year, but we are actually a team working for a company all year long, and then being able to gather and to collect everything that we do all year long in a specific event, in a specific time of the year during Linecheck. And so that's what I do.
So there's a few spoilers in there for the rest of this interview.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, you're getting straight to the point about why I was particularly impressed by Linecheck. But just for, for my listeners, for yourself, what did you do before all of this? I mean, it's great to hear that you were in at the ground up, but how did you get to that point?
Wow. So I don't have much of a story to tell because I don't have so much. I'm pretty young, so I must say,
No, I can tell. But yeah, thanks for making me feel ultra old here. But I mean, what did you do at university or college?
Yeah, of course. So basically, I graduated in management and economics weird. And then I turned, it just happened to be music, my field. But because basically, so in Milan, we have this very cool university, let's say, that it's very much focused on management and economics and like the background and the backstage of what happens like in the cultural and creative sectors. So it's basically a business school, but like they focus a lot on cultural and creative industries, and that's what I studied for my bachelor and master degree. So I already knew I wanted to be like in the cultural scene somehow, because I very much love like everything that relates to creativity and culture. So I was like dancing for years, and then I play guitar, and then I do a lot of cool things like in an artistic and creative way. But then I was okay, no, I'm not good enough like to actually do that. I need to stay like backstage because it's not. I'm better with like math and coordination and organization, so maybe it's better if I just do that.
Yeah, I often introduce myself as a failed musician, so I'm guessing you're saying something.
Exactly. I'm a failed dancer, a failed musician. So I was okay.
Like the list is, yeah, it's funny how that sort of dawns on you, isn't it, as a young person, to sort of go, yeah, maybe I should do something different here. As much as I enjoy it, that's great. But how did you just apply for a job that was posted?
That was it.
That was as simple as that. Okay.
Yeah, actually, no, it was two different steps. So basically, I started like working with the founder of Music Innovation Hub, because I knew him from like my university and my personal people that I knew. So I started working with him when the company wasn't even there. Like it was just like really a draft on a PowerPoint presentation. And so I have him when I was still at university, when I was still studying. And so I started like that. And then when the company then I left, like I lived in Paris for a while, and then I studied a bit there. And then when I came back to Milan, I was okay, I would really like to be part of the project. I mean, now that it's actually existing, now that it's a established company, like there is actually something going on, like formally as well, and so I applied again for the company, and of course then, I mean, they knew me in a way, so it was easier to get the position, because I've already helped a lot with the drafting of the whole company, of the Music Innovation Hub company. So when I just came back to Milan, I was okay, let's try to apply to get a proper position there, and it just worked out. So it was two steps before just like a friendly.
Yeah, no, well, and look, managing relationships and developing them over time is a really important thing, and I hear that time and time again from the people that come on this podcast about their journeys into the particular segment of the industry that they're working in. So that's great. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Let's talk about Linecheck now. So obviously you gave us a little bit of a history. 7 years. Is this the seventh year?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, great. And on the homepage of the website, so listeners, check out linecheck.it, and there's some pretty bold statements that sit on that homepage, which I think are worth just sort of addressing. But in summary, this year's event it's all about critical change to address areas like gender equality, inclusiveness in general, and reducing environmental impact. And I see technology is mentioned a few times, and I know from speaking to you previously as a conference, your approach isn't to just have some panel discussions and then just sort of leave it there. You have these sort of highly structured initiatives and programs that run throughout the year, which then all sort of come together, at the event. So can you tell us what's been happening in the lead up to this year's event? Like what's been going on?
So that's very true what you just said. I mean, it's something that I already mentioned. It's we have this luck, like, to be able to focus on the topic and on the areas that we think are most relevant in the music sector, and like to focus on that and work on it, like, because of our mission at Music Innovation Hub, to work on it like 365, not maybe 365 days a year, but like almost. So it's like a continuous work and a continuous activity. I think like what like a big component of what we organize then in Linecheck comes from like the European projects that we manage. We have like we've always been like, it's kind of a virtuous circle, because Linecheck has always been very much about internationalization, and thanks to the fact that we've been building a lot of meaningful relations with like other partners in different European countries, and we have been always looking at outside of Italy, we've been able to create very, very meaningful relations with different partners around Europe, music organization, festivals, conferences, other kind of events, other kind of organizations. And that helped us to be also strong, like in the eyes of the European Commission, for instance. So they could see that we were able to build this kind of relation, and they helped us a lot, like when it came to, for instance, apply to grants and like to European projects, because we already had a very strong network. So it was easy for us always to organize partnerships and like gather and be together with other European partners to ask for European funds and support, which of course is very important when it comes to this kind of cultural activities in general. So it's of course we have a ticketing part, we have audiences, and like we sell tickets, and like we have sponsors, but it's true that this kind of event often need for public support, and that's completely how things go, and it's in the economies of this kind of events as well. So right now Music Innovation Hub is managing 4 different European projects, and all of them are in the direction of what are the topics that you mentioned, some of the themes and topics that you just mentioned in Linecheck. So for instance, we've been part for 2 years now of a project called Key Change, which is promoted. It was originally promoted by the PRS Foundation in the UK, and it aims at reaching gender balance in all the music organization in a broad sense. So like in terms of if we talk about concerts or festival, in terms of lineups and artists represented, but also if we talk about organization and other kind of organization in terms of staff and like board members and like each level of seniority and governance within organizations, or if we talk about conferences in the speakers lineup, for instance. So this is a very great project that is joined by so many music organizations and festival and venues that are really committed and that have signed this pledge to be gender balanced by 2022. So Linecheck was one of the Music Innovation Hub, and Linecheck was one of the promoters of this project. So this is a huge topic, for instance, for us in the conference and in the festival, beside the fact that we signed the pledge. So we need to, of course, respect and go through this goal, go towards this goal. But beside that, of course, this is a huge topic that we try to tackle and concretely apply within the festival every year since 2 years now and for the next year. So this is an example of how trend or an issue or a necessity in the music industry that we assess and that we try to tackle and solve and work on over the whole year, thanks to the many partnerships that we have, thanks to this specific project, for instance, lands in Linecheck. And this is one of the examples. This year at Linecheck, we also welcome 2 big delegations of other 2 European projects. One is called Jump, and that's a project that is running since 3 years now, and it's carried out, is led by the MAMA conference and festival in Paris, and it gathers other 6 European conferences and festivals. So kind of teaming up, even if we kind of do the same things, but like we try to do that together. And the idea is basically to support every year 10 to 20 innovative projects and startups. Like it depends, it's very broad in that sense, that like try to come up with innovative solutions for the music business. So every year, and that can be either related to technology, but also like to social innovation, for instance. So it doesn't have to necessarily be digital innovation. So every year with these partner conferences we select and support with the networking and with the possibility, with giving them the possibility to tour between these conferences and meet new people and like participate in the conference and getting like professional training and capacity building. We support them in the development of their project. So this is like it's like keeping a constant eye on what innovation are happening within the European music ecosystem. And we did that through also another project that is called Music Tech Europe Academy. And that was more focused on the new technologies, so on startups and entrepreneurs and professionals developing innovative solutions using from blockchain to AR to VR to artificial intelligence. So very much focused on technology. But that's both, like we interpret the term innovation not just in a from a technological point of view, but also like, and this was very important for us, like over these years, to really map and see what was going on from the bottom up in terms of innovation, and we find that every year at Linecheck, because like this project, for instance, Jump, has its conclusion event during Linecheck every year. So at Linecheck every year we kind of welcome the one that this kind of network has identified as some of the most innovative projects within the music scene in every year. So that's another example of bringing
and these projects are do they take the form of like sort of mentorship? Is there any funding?
Exactly.
And
yeah.
You know, right, it's the
exactly.
sort of thing that you would imagine, and presumably they've got sort of workshops and tasks and things that they sort of, you know, culminate towards. And so how do those projects use your event, and do they have sort of like conclusion, you know, sort of awards or presentations or
yeah. Of course, they do. They both have that. They for sure have that kind of conclusion ceremonies or like close up of the projects. But then, of course, the thing is like at Linecheck, these people, because then we talk about, of course, it's project, but it's people behind projects. So it's that's a great value that we have, like that these people can enrich the event through their being there. And on the other side, like Linecheck gives back, like, of course, network and training formats that can be like workshops or like we have like at Linecheck this year, for instance, we're going to have like pitch sessions and pitch carousels for this company to present themselves in front of potential business partners, or like what we're going to have this year as a news as well. It's going to be like a Linecheck X, which is going to be an exhibition space where both like startups, but also like more established company can have their spot to be presented and like to talk to people and to showcase what they are doing, not just like a poster, but like actual showcasing what they do. I don't know. For instance, we have this super nice company working with the immersive sound associated to VR. So they are developing cool projects with VR, but also with the immersive sound. So it's going to be in this space. It's going to be possible like to experience their products, for instance. So it's not just like a fair, but it's actually like a see and explore and experience like what these companies, these projects, these people are trying to market.
Yeah, and this was one of the things that I was really interested in about the design exhibition when you talked about it, because it also, this isn't just a sort of an industry only type of event. You are encouraging the general public to kind of come in and see what's going on in terms of innovation. It's sort of almost in real time. Yeah, I think that's really, really interesting. Is there much of a sort of like feedback loop, like in terms of like, you know, when the general public comes in? I mean, other than I guess maybe talking to the founders of these companies, I mean, mean, do you ever sort of think maybe the conference can be used to sort of really help these businesses, take on board some criticism from the general public?
Of course, but that's totally the idea. I think like
Right.
this kind of space, like as the Linecheck's audience is very different, like it's very diverse. Like of course it's mostly made out of professional people, like people that already work in the sector, but it's really not just that. Like it's really like every year, like for instance, we have special partnership and special deals with universities because we really want to encourage like students and like people who wish to work in the music sector and maybe they're not yet working in the music sector, like to come and to see, okay, maybe you have a when you're not really within the sector, maybe you think that like the music sector is managed by 3 companies and that's it. So either you work there or like you work in a bank or in something else, but it's really not like that, and it's always more and more not like that anymore because there is like such a variety of people and of companies and of startups that like are also looking for new professionals, and maybe that's also a meeting point for them, like to onboard like new people and to find like different kind of profiles, of professional profiles, that is not just anymore like an A&R or a talent scout in a label, because it's not just that anymore. So Linecheck is really a meeting point for different people with different backgrounds, maybe not just in the music sector, because like for instance this year we also welcome, always thanks to a European project like that aims at, that is called Creative Shift, and that aims at supporting the cross-sectorial dialogue between music, gaming and media and publishing, in sense of book publishing. So thanks to this project, we are going to welcome in Linecheck like a very big delegation of professionals that are working like in different fields. And that's very interesting for us, because music is increasingly more connected to other cultural and creative fields that are not just music. So that connects to gaming and connects to media, but also with the books, for instance, with the publishing sector. So I think like what this space aims at encouraging and stimulating as well is also this kind of dialogue and this kind of contamination between different profiles, different sectors, different levels of establishment and recognition within the industry. So
yeah, no, it's brilliant, and you're hitting all the high points here, really, and I hope that my listeners are getting a real feel for what it is that you're doing here. You're connecting these year-long, and longer, activities, these projects that the European Commission, are often involved with, into the end of year events, but also this cross-sector inclusion. I mean, look, in the industry we always have talked about gaming and other things like that. Often felt it can feel quite separate, and of course they're becoming so connected. A friend of mine runs a company called Licked, who helps influencers license music very easily for things like YouTube. That is almost like a new sort of section of the music industry, but it needed help, it needed innovation, it needed structure, and to make these things possible. And you consider Linecheck a platform. Can you talk a little bit more about that as an idea?
yeah, of course. Yeah, because what we were talking about like the other days with our colleagues, for instance, it's like that a platform is really something that like is like an enabler, an habilitator for something else, for other people, for other projects, for other companies, like to join, to be in the same place, even not physically, but like virtually at the same time, and like make the most out of it. So that's the sense of Linecheck as a platform. We, of course, we do have a curational team, like we do give a direction, and we do have an editorial line and a team that curates like the conference, so the day part, and the festival, so the night part. But so of course, because otherwise it would be a total mess. But like the idea is really to welcome. Most of the things that we organize at Linecheck are do come from outside. So it's like that's why we always like run late with the programming and with the actual organization, not in the organization, but like with the communication, the promotion. Because if in 2 days before the festival we have a super nice project that says, okay, listen, I want to do this and I want to use Linecheck as a place to do that, we are likely gonna say yes if we do like the project or the idea or the showcase or whatever, because like Linecheck is really made not by the Linecheck team, which is just like people like driving a car, but like, you know, what's within the when it comes to content and to music and performances and showcase, it really comes from outside and from the people who made that, who do that. We are really just facilitator in that sense, and it's a lot about the people that participate in the event and that make this festival really cool, because we know we just give them the conditions to be cool and to make and to give others like the best they can, because they feel good in Linecheck, and that's what we try to do, to set nice conditions for cool things to happen.
This year, I understand that there's quite an international focus. I go to this co-working space, and one of the people that works at the co-working space is Italian, and I mentioned about Linecheck, and I mean, he's lived in the UK for a long time, and he wasn't aware, but he was like, finally, thankfully, there's going to be a focus on the Italian music industry. At least that's how he feels about it anyway. So how do you do that? I believe that you have a host nation or something like that?
Yeah. So, Linecheck was born with this idea of internationalization. I think like when I was not there like 7 years ago, but like when the concept was created, it was really meant to help connect the Italian music sector with the international music sector, so, and vice versa. So there was really in the mission of Linecheck from the very beginning of the event. It was born because of this, because of filling the gap between the Italian music market and the international music market, especially the European music market. But then, of course, like we came up with the ways for doing that. Like one of the things that we do, for instance, like since 3 years now, is like welcoming every year a guest country with which we create a partnership, and like we discuss like the conference and the festival together, and we try to find like common points and to support each other and to foster this exchange between this specific country. Last year it was not really a guest country because it was online edition, so we said that it was more like Europe, our guest country, because it was, of course, like with the online and with the digital edition, it was spread all over Europe. But 2 years ago, the guest country was Canada, and this year is going to be Germany. Next year we'll see, but we have some ideas already. So the idea is like to every year to focus, hopefully, like in a long period with all the countries like in the world. And so that's a way, that's a specific way in which we try to connect Linecheck with other countries in Europe or like in the world in general. What we are gonna do this year, that is also kind of a news for our format, is like, as last year we have been going digital, fully digital, of course, because like 2 weeks before the actual event, like the Italian government said, okay, no, we cannot do live events anymore. So it was supposed to be hybrid already last year, but then it was not possible anymore, like really 2 weeks before the event. So we went fully digital. And this year, as it's possible again to organize like live events, we decided anyway to keep this experience and this background that we built with the online events, which is something that we really believe in. So we were, okay, we cannot just do panels about how cool live streaming is if we don't live stream our festival. So we are keeping this hybrid version, like with the live stream going on and with the physical event going on as well. And what we are going to do this year is like not only to stream out our festival, so to stream to the people what's going on in Milan, but also to stream in what's going on in other cities. So for the festival part, we're going to have concerts happening in different European cities, like in London, in Paris, in Berlin, in Madrid, and in other German cities, as Germany is our guest country, and they're going to be broadcasted in Linecheck venue in Milan. So it's not just going to be a flow, a video flow going out of from Base, from the Linecheck venue in Milan, but also the other way around. And this was like, I think, let's see how does it go. Like, it's the first time that we do that, but of course, it has a strong meaning in the sense of connection to Europe and connection to other cities around Europe, but also sometimes we've been thinking that, I mean, we are also very much committed in these social innovations in terms of impact that we create, that the music can create, positive and negative. And of course, like this touring and having bands flying from all over Europe and having people flying from all over Europe to come to Milan and to watch concerts is not like exactly the best way to support like an environmental turn. So we said, okay, let's try to instead of having people coming here to watch concert, let's just send the artists there and people can watch the artists there where they are. So also to reduce a little bit the impact that we create, and hopefully that's gonna be something that will work out. I'm sure it will work out in the cities. Like, I'm sure people are going to be very interested in watching Linecheck in Paris, or Linecheck in Madrid, or Linecheck in Berlin. I really hope that like people in Milan are also going to be interested in seeing what's streamed from there, and not just like, you know, you're going to have this hybrid experience of having bands playing in Milan, but also streaming from all over Europe. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. I think. I really hope that the message, as it's an experiment. So let's see if it works. But I hope the vision behind that kind of reaches our target, and I'm sure that it will, because we are very aligned with the people that participate in Linecheck and then share kind of Linecheck vision.
I really like the thoughtfulness and the sort of lead by example idea there. And actually, I mean, you've already kind of answered a lot of this question, but I realised obviously last year you wouldn't have been able to do this in person with people. But it sounds like you were already headed towards having at least part of the conference in a digital format so that you could include people that wouldn't have been able to make it to the event anyway.
No.
And were there particular bits of technology maybe that you were thinking about adopting anyway, that presumably last year you just almost completely relied upon? So in some ways you were sort of almost by accident preparing for the pandemic, which I think is excellent. And what sort of things work really well? And, you know, did you learn anything from that year of being forced into this fully sort of remote conferencing style that you can then bring into this more, fortunately, hybrid version of it this year?
Yeah, well, of course, like we already, because it's the same thing of being like part of a project about gender balance, and then being gender balance ourselves. So if we are part of projects, and if we promote digital innovation, then we have to be digitally innovative ourselves, and we need to be like a kind of a test field for innovation to happen. Otherwise it would be a little bit weird. So yeah, we definitely had this idea of live streams and of digital kind of experiences already before the pandemic, and it was just okay, let's see the positive side. We have actually a chance to experiment and to experience what we've been thinking about with the technological innovation. So definitely yes. I think last year was of course we learned a lot. Like for instance, we've been developing our own platform for the live stream because we have been looking around a lot to what was going on in terms of streaming platforms and like startups and new big players like entering the live streaming market. And even though we have collaborated with many of them for other events, because we've been managing a lot of events actually in the live streaming environment. For Linecheck, we decided to build our own, so we actually hired more people for the team. That we never had an IT department. So now Linecheck had an IT department, and that was very interesting also to see how to collaborate with this. So with how to enlarge our team and adding a whole new department, if you wanna say, if we wanna call it so, to our structure and core team. So we did develop our own streaming platform, and of course some things technically went well, some other things didn't really went well because it's really didn't really go well. It's really about experience. It's really about testing and testing and testing. So we learned that you need to test a lot if you wanna organize because it's completely another concept. It's really more in the video or in the visual side of an event rather than just in the production and the music kind of mindset. So I think that's something that we definitely learned, that you really need to test and completely switch your mindset into another, not trying just to film what's going on physically and do it online, because it's not going to work. The experience that you are trying to live when you are in a digital environment, when you are not actually there, it has to be managed completely differently from an experience that is actually managed live and experienced live. So that's something that we learned and that we are trying to improve for this edition, for instance. But then, of course, we're so happy to have people here again. That's so, I can't say that, okay, it's fine, to live stream everything and just be everyone in their rooms. Of course, it's not fine at all. We are super happy to have all these people coming to Linecheck. But for instance, this year Linecheck is going to be a little more restricted in that sense. We are not really aiming at having, I don't know, thousands of people flying to Milan to be there and to enjoy physically the event, because I think there might be different ways to gather and to meet. It doesn't necessarily have to be everyone physically in the same place at the same moment, but I don't know, I think there might be I think events should consider this, that it's not a race toward who gathers more delegates and speaker and audiences, and yes, I win because I have everyone flying to this city at the same time, and hotels rooms are gonna get super expensive, and and flights are gonna get super expensive. I think this shouldn't be the way in which also music conferences and music events compete.
These are the things that people dislike actually about those conferences. They're often, they take so much of your time up when you're planning to take your team out there. Yeah, totally. So I'm really actually very keen to see this platform that you've developed, because of course what you're sort of talking about there is a bit of the holy grail of how do you take that sort of live experience, be it a conference, be it a live gig, whatever it might be, an exhibition. How do you capture that sort of real life into the digital format? I don't think it's really been done very well. We've seen, 360 videos, and people have made attempts at sort of VR immersive stuff. But so I'm really very curious. I will be attending the event virtually, at least. I'm very, very curious to see sort of how you execute that. And so at the event, am I right in thinking that you've got a bit of a kind of first for the event? There's an announcement happening. Is that right? Something to do with an award. I don't know. We talk about
yes,
that. Oh,
yes, but I don't know if I can already say that.
All right. Well, okay. Well, maybe we don't say too much, and it's just a little sort of teaser to get people to.
Yeah, exactly. But let's say we are going in the direction of cooperating and not competing with the other conferences and festivals, because it's a little bit what I was saying before. I don't think it has to be a competition or a challenge or a race between one another, to see who's the biggest and who is the coolest and most senior speakers participating. I think every conference has its peculiarities, and every conference is made by the people that attend these conferences, so they are all going to be different because the people are different probably. So I think we are all playing like in different ways with different peculiarities and characteristics. So the idea that Linecheck is really not to compete with the Eurosonic or with Rapperman or with whatever, like, but to be unique and yeah, peculiar in our way of being. And so what's going to happen in Linecheck this year like really goes into this direction of collaborating and not competing with one another when it comes to showcase and conference festivals.
Finally, I think that's an extremely wise way of doing this. So well done for spotting that error that I think others make. So what are you personally excited about for this year? What's the thing that you're most sort of keen to either see happen, execute well, or what's the thing that you're excited about?
Well, but that's very personal. Like I think.
This is an interview with you. It's got to be personal. I want to hear about you.
True. No, I feel like it relates a little bit with what I was saying before, like the fact that like Linecheck is managed by a company, Music Innovation Hub. It's the same team. Like, do not imagine that Music Innovation Hub is like a 200 employees. It's really not like that. Linecheck and Music Innovation Hub is basically the same team. It's the same people. We do everything. Each of us does everything.
Do you have different hats that you wear?
Exactly. Right, okay, but it's exactly the same head, but it's just different hats. So, like, but all the team, me and like all my colleagues, we've been working a lot in these 3 years of life of Music Innovation Hub. And of course, each of us has built super valuable networks of people and has been working with projects and with partners that shared same vision and same ambitions and really to improve like what we think it should be improved, like in the music ecosystem, like in Italy but in Europe as well. So what really excites me right now is that like I haven't actually been able to meet these people like, for like 2 years now, and I think like we've been growing so much since 2 years ago. So meet, I mean, not just like physically, but like also to be in the same kind of shared space all together. So I think what really excites me is the possibility, like the idea that all these super valuable people that we as a team, as Music Innovation Hub team, as not just me, have been working with, sharing a same vision and sharing same ambition about the music sector, are actually going to be all together, like maybe not physically, but like, in the same context, in the same metaphysics space, whether that's physically or online. And that's really cool because like the last time that we did that, because last year was a bit of a tricky edition because it was really in the heart of the pandemic. And last time that this happened was like in 2019, but like being in a very young company and being in a very changing environment, things have really developed and have really changed since like in 2 years, since 2019. So I'm really excited to see how this changed and how the relations have evolved and how the projects we have been working for have evolved and how these networks have grown. And so I think that's like, it's really about the evolution and of relations, of projects, of visions that we share with the people that are connected to Linecheck.
That is a fantastic thing to be looking forward to, and it's so interesting. I mean, I know that some of these people you won't necessarily be in the exact same room with, but the amount of companies. Well, I mean, I work with a few that CEOs, the people that would normally have done a face-to-face hiring, they've never met these people. They don't, they haven't built that relationship with them yet, and so once they're hired, they sort of exist only in a Slack channel or in an email or the odd video conference, but it's not the same thing. It's not the same way of building those relationships, which are so crucial in an industry that's all about people. So wow, that's really, really good. I really hope that fulfills your your expectations there. No pressure. Good. Okay, so that's about it, I think. Was there anything else that you'd like to talk about? I mean, actually, we haven't spoken about when it is and how much it costs and things like that. Do you want to? Should we do that? We should probably do that, shouldn't we?
I think like my marketing.
Exactly. Yeah,
like, you have to say when the event is. Like true, right? So Linecheck is happening like every year at the end of November. So this year is going to be from the 23rd to the 25th. So it's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And during the day, of course, there's going to be full of workshops and panels and showcases as well, because we have a nice live studio that is equipped with technologies for 3D sound. So we can use that also during the day to have showcases there and like panels around. And then, of course, in the night, we're going to have cool showcases like happening in Milan and happening around the European cities. So those are the 3 days. We have a full pass right now that is about, it's 95 euros for the 3 days meeting and festival. The online edition is like the half, but then you can, if you want to attend just like little pieces of that, like on the website, there is all the pricing for like day 1 or day 2 or day 3, digital or physical, night 1, night 2, night 3, digital or physical, or like all day and night, so it's like you really can kind of build your own experience at Linecheck. You can also be 1 day in Milan and the other 2 days wherever you want. Like, so it's really a puzzle that you can make out of it. But if you want to enjoy the 3 days in Milan, then it's going to be 95 euros. Yep.
So, I mean, that's pretty accessible. I mean, those numbers
it's totally accessible.
Yeah. I mean, and that's great. Because this was always the thing about some of those other conferences, even the sort of smaller ones that grew. The ticket was such a consideration for an independent artist or a small company or a sort of manager that has only a couple of artists under their wing, or even for sort of mid-sized labels. It's like how do you justify spending upwards of sort of 500 euros on a ticket for one person to go. Then you've got the hotels and stuff. So those things always sort of became such a problem. So it's great that, and actually what's really nice there about the idea that you can mix and match and create your own event. I mean, that's ultimately what happens anyway when people get to these events. They have their own very unique experience, but this feels very sort of easy to navigate. So very, very good. And that's linecheck.it. That's the website.
Exactly.
Excellent. What are your social handles? Come on, let's get those in so people can follow along.
Exactly. Just Instagram, and I think Instagram is definitely the best channel, and it's Linecheck IT, so you can definitely check it out. Yeah,
very good. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. I hope that the listeners understood the points of difference that Linecheck is and represents, and are excited to go and check you guys out. And will there be things afterwards? So do you record things and kind of put content out?
Of course. Of course, we'll do that. Like last year we did, and then we you need to register to our platform for having that, and we still have to decide what's gonna go for free, what's gonna go maybe for a small fee and stuff, but it will be possible to enjoy some of it afterwards. But life is better, so
of course. Well, it's interactive at that point, but I know sometimes people's schedules are during the working week are a little tricky, but
it's always like an issue, especially if that's not if I have the feeling if you travel to a place, then you commit to what you're doing there. But of course, if it's online, your attention capacity is still it's very difficult. It's very difficult to be focused on just one thing.
Yeah, it's very difficult in the modern world when you've got, and especially if you're at your computer, if people's lives are similar to mine, you've got kind of calendar reminders and emails coming in, Slack messages and, whatever else. It can be very, very difficult to sort of sit and concentrate. But I'm hoping that your new online streaming service is going to be immersive enough for people to...
Yeah, it's true. We should do an API where that it shuts down all the other applications that you
love that. You should absolutely do that.
Exactly, that's a good one.
Oh goodness. Right, wonderful. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for the invitation. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. So to my listeners, thank you for listening. As ever, I welcome all feedback, comments and suggestions for future shows. My Twitter and Instagram handles are at Alex Branson, or head to the website www.abcmusic.co where you'll find a contacts page. Also a shout out to the incredible audio assassins who provided the music branding for the show. And if you like the show, please leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thank you for listening.